Pranam Swamniji.
Oh,
Namaste to everyone. We at Advaita Academy welcome you all to the 1 month long Oneness Festival, a global celebration of Adi Shankaracharya ji. In this session, we have a live talk by Swamini Svatma Vidyananda ji on a taste and 2 in the evening at 6:30 p.m. IST. We also have extra music sessions on weekends. Please join us for all the sessions. We have with us Swamini Swatma Vidyananda ji, who is the Acharya and Spiritual Director of Arsha Vijnana Gurukulam, USA. Swamini ji studied at the feet of Puja Swami Dayananda Saraswati ji of Arsha Vidya Gurukulam and now gives discourses in a very similar, engaging style all over the world. Swamini ji is also responsible for the inception of Aim for Seva, a non-profit enabling rural Indian children to receive a proper education, as well as being a founding member of the Women's Peace Initiative. vm.org to access Swaminiji's archived talks, as well as to attend her ongoing online classes for free. Swaminiji also teaches Hinduism at Berkeley. Today, Swami will taste the Upanishad, verse 2.2.9. You can type in your questions and comments in the chat box below, and Swaminiji and I will take a few. I will take them for Swaminiji at the end of the talk. And I now humbly request Swaminiji to please start her discourse. Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I'm very happy that to hear about the success of the Oneness Festival. It has gone on now for 2.5 weeks, correct? Yeah, and so that is wonderful. And today, I thought since people have been logging on for 2.5 weeks, it would be nice to talk on what is the point of all this. In other words, why are we studying this? Day after day, evening after evening, however this is happening. And so what is the point? Because there should be a point, like Adi Shankara says in the Bhashya to the Bhagavad Gita, mandopi prayojanam anuddishya mandopi karmanina pravartate. Even a dull person, slightly dull, developmentally challenged, will not do anything without knowing what is the purpose of an action. Although study is not technically action, study of Vedanta is not action at all, especially for the student, In fact, you just sit and listen. But some action is there in the sense of, turning on the computer, whatever it is, little bit of preparation is there, and then there is also some, what is that, there is some taking out the time needed to do this. All this is needed. And so there is always a kind of a anticipation. What is the purpose of Vedanta? And of course, the purpose of Vedanta, we would say, everybody knows it is moksha. And then moksha, of course, nobody is very clear about. Even the texts, some of the texts are not very clear about. And then so, there is always this anticipation. What is this moksha like? What happens when the samsara falls away? And what happens, what do I get out of this? Because this becomes very important. And then to make matters a little more, interesting to to make it mixed up a little bit. What do we have? We have various ideas of what this moksha is. Suddenly you get up and then you are no longer ignorant, and then or the teacher bops you with a peacock feather and then you are no longer ignorant and so many things. And so therefore this is a very, very important verse in the Mundaka Upanishad, because Mundaka Upanishad is beautiful. It tells you exactly as things are, and it's a very trustworthy Upanishad because it unfolds everything extremely systematically. And then it says what exactly this moksha is like, and not only what is it like, what actually happens, what are the operations associated with ajnana nivrittihi, which is nothing but jnana prapti. Okay, so ajnana nivritti means showing the ajnana, the door out. That is ajnana nivritti, ousting, utsaranam, ousting of ajnanam, and then when the ajnanam is ousted, along with all its spawns, its broods, and then then the jnanam, which is your own self, naturally shines. And then that is what is talked about here. It's a very, very important verse, and so we will be looking at that for this time. Okay, I will chant the verse and then we will look at it. Vidyate hridaya granthihi छिद्यन्ते सर्वसंशयाः क्षीयन्ते चास्य कर्माणि तस्मिन् दृष्टे परावरे. So this is a very, very nice verse, and it talks about what happens when samsara goes. We are not trying to eliminate samsara, because so if by samsara we mean the jagat, we are certainly not trying to eliminate the jagat with the help of either the oneness festival or this knowledge. We are not trying to eliminate the jagat. The jagat is here to stay. Okay, but the jagat curdles into samsara. When the jagat becomes sour, it is called samsara. And when does the jagat become sour? When I don't understand it, when I have some separation from it, when I think of the jagat as that jagat over there other than me. And if anything is other than me, then there is the us and them situation, me and versus. There's always this versus, and like a boxer in the ring, I'm just waiting to fight with this thing called the jagat. And that looks, like a fight with everybody and everything. Starting, in fact, the jagat includes one's own body, mind, sense complex, and that there also is a big war. One is fighting with the body, one is fighting with the mind. And this is what is samsara, the curdling of the jagat. And what causes the jagat to turn sour is, the starter in the form of my own ignorance. Atma Ajnanam is put as a starter, and this Brahman, which is manifest as the Jagat, turns into samsara. This is what it is. And so therefore this this is a vision problem. Whenever we see division, it is because of the problem in the vision, and that that is what has to be properly corrected, and that is the purpose of this verse. And so let us look at it with these words. Let us take a look at the verse. Vidyate. Vidyate means is shattered. What is shattered? Hridaya granthihi vidyate. See, Sanskrit is so easy. Yeah. Vidyate is shattered. Hridaya granthi is a kind of a knot in the heart. This knot is not in the heart, literally. Yeah, we are talking of a figurative knot, you know. And sometimes there is a kind of a tightness in the chest because of sorrow, because of sometimes anger, because of unmanageable emotions. All that is included in this heart knot. So it's like a knot on a piece of string. So you keep touching it, it is smooth, and suddenly there is this knot, you know, and it is causing a disturbance. And that is what is talked about here. This is the heart knot. And what is this heart knot? You know, this heart knot in the Shastra is nothing but not knowing the truth of oneself. And what is the truth of oneself? You are Ishvara, you are non-separate from the Jagat, we are non-separate from Bhagavan. This is what it is. Jiva Bheda, gone. Jiva Ishvara Yoho Bheda, gone. Bheda means separation. And then what? You know, Jiva Jagat Bheda, gone. So there is, you know, this separation, this vision of division is totally cut down, and that is what is the point of this, and that is what is talked about as you know, in three components. What are the three things that happen, and when does it happen? You know, it happens when this knowledge is gained. And what is this knowledge that is gained is given in the last line. We'll look at that first. How does the heart not go? And then I'll just translate as it is, and then we'll go from the bottom up. We have to come to understand this verse. So Vidyate Hridaya Granthihi, the heart knot in the form of self-ignorance is shattered. Then Chidyante, cut. Chid, to cut, you know, are cut. What? Sarva samshayaha. All doubts are cut out. You know, they are not there anymore. The doubts are eliminated. They are gone. No doubts, you know. And then kshiyante cha asya karmani. All the karmas, asya, for this person who gains this knowledge, all the karmas are gone. Gone, 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 you know. And so all the karmas are gone, you know. And karmas, karmani, three forms of karma are talked about. Prarabdha, sanchita, agami, we'll be seeing that. And then what? When does this happen? Tasmin brahmani. In that Brahman, tasmin, when you see what? Drishte, when you see para and avara together. What is para? Para means cause, you know, karanatmakam brahma, param. This is called cause, you know. Cause means Ishvara. In that Brahman you see Ishvara, and then in that same Brahman you see avara, effect. Effect means what? The whole Jagat, starting with your own body, mind, ahankara, senses, etc. This is a Mahavakya. Tasmin drishte, you don't need anything else. Tasmin drishte paravare itself is a Mahavakya. Very, very beautiful. And, you know, extremely poignant of the Upanishad to point this out right in the middle of the text itself, so that there is a, you know, so that there is some kind of a, you know, incentive to study, and there is an incentive to understand this Brahman as the truth of oneself. So then para means cause, and then avara means effect. And in our tradition, you know, we don't say that the cause is separate from the effect. In fact, the effect, this whole Jagat, is non-separate from the cause, Brahman. Just like the fabric is non-separate, you know, from the yarn. Shirt non-separate from the fabric. You know, molecules non-separate from the yarn. Like this you can keep on going, you know. And the clay non-separate from the pot. Like I was saying earlier, this is a crack pot, you know, slight crack is there, but nonetheless, no, you know, It serves its purpose. So the clay inheres the pot. There is no separation at all. And at the same time, you see that you see the cause and effect in one location. So as I'm talking to you, you can appreciate that this is a pot. It's an elevated pot. It's a teaching pot. It's a, what can I say? It's a Vedanta teacher pot. And so it has a nice, feeling about itself. I'm not an ordinary pot. I'm a teacher's pot. And then but nonetheless, you can see the effect, which is pot, and you can see the cause, which is what? Clay. You can see the effect and the cause at the same time. Why? Because they happen to be one and the same. Effect is cause, and this you can see same place, same place, same thing you can see in terms of shirt, and what is the cause of shirt? Fabric. Fabric is the cause of shirt. So along with the shirt, the fabric comes along for free. Because you cannot say, please, give me the shirt and you keep the fabric. You can't say that. Otherwise, people will be wearing those emperor's clothes. You cannot say that at all. So you have to see that, in and through. Otam protam, that is a Sanskrit word here, meaning it is just as though interwoven. The effect and the cause, are very difficult to tell apart, because the effect is non-separate from the cause. However, you cannot say that the cause is also has become the effect. If effect is non-separate from the cause, fabric is, shirt is fabric, no doubt. In fact, the whole shirt is fabric. The sleeve of your shirt is fabric. The front is fabric. Back is fabric. Everything, the button, everything is fabric. The front, the panel, is fabric. But you cannot say, fabric is shirt. Can you say fabric is shirt? No. Because fabric can be a tablecloth. It can be a pair of pants. It can be so many things. Because the fabric, what should I say, transcends the shirt. This is where we can use the word transcends. It transcends the shirt. Similarly, pot is clay, but you cannot say the other way around. You cannot say clay is pot. Because clay can appear in many, many forms. Clay can be just a lump on the roadside. You can do that. And then you can find some clay on the roadside. Clay can be made into a Krishna figurine. Clay can be in the form of a lid, a cup, and then, right here we have another example, but this one is a little stuck. Another pot. Yeah, this one is smaller and a little more vain. It has a little glaze on it. Yeah, it's the human being pot. Yeah, a little ahankara and makeup. Yeah, so this is there. But this one, feels good only as long as this one is not in the picture. If this one is in the picture, this will have a complex centered on the self. Oh no, I am eaten up, gone. But still, you can say two pots, but one clay, correct? So clay can be in the form of this pot, clay can be in the form of this pot, clay can be in the form of so many things, including little coins that we find from the Mohenjo-daro, Harappa civilizations. We find baked, their cash. What was that? Little clay coins made of clay. And so this is what the kind of a funny relationship between cause and effect. And if this is understood, effect is cause is not effect, then we will not have any problem with this para and avara business. Yeah. Avara is para. Avara is included in para. Para never becomes avara. In other words, Bhagavan, Ishvara, in creating this Jagat, did not lose weight and did not spread himself so thin that there is no more Ishvara left. That kind of a situation, is a little scary, because, because it goes against. Then we have Nirishwara Prasanga. Then we also have, what is that called? Anirmoksha Prasanga. No moksha is possible, because if Ishvara is not there, then where will the Mahavakya go and sit? What are you going to equate yourself to? And then if you cannot equate yourself to Bhagavan, then there is no hope for the sorrow to go, for the fear to go. So this is what is the first. So two meanings. One is para, cause, avara, effect. Bhagavan and Jagat. One meaning, So that same Brahman, is in the form of Bhagavan, who is seen as the creator. And actually in the Hindu Dharma, we don't say creator, we say projector. More of a projector. Because this Srishti is more of a abhivyakti, a projection, which is retracted, like even in your dream. You project your dream, you sustain your dream, and then the alarm goes off because it's time to wake up. Even though you're working from home, you have to get up at some point, yeah. Quarantine doesn't mean you can do exactly as you want. Yeah, something is there, and so the alarm goes off, and then when the alarm goes off, you wake up, and then what? The dream is pulled back into you without a trace. If you dreamt that you were, scarfing a nice piece of chocolate cake, dream cake, okay, in the dream, with a dream plate, dream fork, dream cake. Then when you wake up, it is not there on your lap. It is not there on the you will not find crumbs when you make the bed up. Means it is neatly taken back. It is neatly, infallibly projected and sustained. And if this is understood, same thing with the Jagat. With Bhagavan projecting the Jagat. And the raw materials are also identical. Because how do you project your dream? The memory of the previously ingested chocolate cake, whenever that was, in real life, in empirical life, and then the desire for the next piece of chocolate cake together converge. Memory and desire mix to bring up this dream. For Ishvara also the same thing, same thing. So kamayat, that is desire. Satapo tapyat, that is memory. Memory of what? What will Ishvara remember? How the last cycle of creation was projected. That is what Ishvara will remember. He will recall that. But Ishvara doesn't have desires. You are right. So who do those desires belong to? The one that is asking this question. Why? Because it's all the jivas clamoring for a place to play. They want a place to play. They want a place to get together. They want a place to, eke out all the karmas. So the jivas are clamoring to be embodied, and once they are embodied, they cannot just be roaming in space. And so therefore tasmad va etasmat atmanaha akashas sambhutaha akashad vayu ragnihi etc adbhyah prithvi prithvyam oshadhayah oshadhibhyo annam annat purushah. So all the way to this body we have. The whole creation is for your desire, based on the infallible, the infallible projection, from Ishvara's memory of the last cycle of creation. This is what the whole thing is. So this, the creation is a projection, and that projection is sankalpa matrena. By the intentionality alone, everything comes. It's not that, we don't have this problem like, Ishvara will not say, I forgot. I have to give the human beings a brain. After creating the human beings, it did not think like that. Correct? And so this is what we have to see and appreciate how infallible it is. Whatever you see is in the form of infallible laws projected. And then that is a view of no division. When you see no division, then you can appreciate the Jagat. And this Jagat is Avara only because it came afterwards. Para, Ishvara, Avara, the effect. So this is one meaning. And we are asked in this verse to look at the Jnana Phalam. Jnana Phalam here is to see in every avara, you see the para. In other words, you consciously Ishwarize the universe. Is that a word? It should be, if it is not. You Ishwarize the universe. Anything you see it as an extension of Ishvara, 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 morning Ishvara, evening Ishvara, night Ishvara. Everything is Ishvara. What you like definitely is Ishvara. What you don't like, is double helping of Ishvara, because what you don't like generally comes in double helpings. So this is what we have to practice. This is what is called what is that? This is what is called meditation, open eye meditation, to be able to see things as Ishvara. So that is one meaning, para and avara. And another meaning of para and avara, para means Ishvara and avara means jiva, the one who considers himself or herself extremely lowly. So the lowly being who is just so sad and says, I'm so far away from Ishvara, and sits and sings sad songs. It's not satsang, it's sad sang. The sad one sang. That's what it is. Sad songs. Darshan kab doge, tum kaha ho. And, Ishvara is frustrated. What is wrong with these people? But this is what it is, And so, not failing to recognize that which is right there in front is the Jiva's hallmark. And this is again because of Atma Ajnanam, not being able to understand the truth of oneself, or not having the access to teacher, teaching, means of knowledge, not having access to Shraddha, some devotion that is needed to be able to appreciate this truth about oneself. So none of this, one is able to do. And so therefore, the para and the para and avara are poles apart. And in the wake of this knowledge, one sees that there is no difference. That Brahman, that Satchidananda, that existence which pervades the whole universe, which is the sentient conscious being in the form which responds to the words I am, aham, 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 sakshat iti sakshi rupena bhasate, that which understands itself as I, which is which is a self-evident I, which does not need to be corroborated by anybody or anything. And that I is the same, is the source of the existence of the rock, of the tree, of the sun, of the moon, of every celestial body, of every other body. There is just that one I alone, that manifests as is in everything. That isness is the same in everything, and it's a sentient existence. It is not jada, it is a sentient existence. How do you know? Because if I ask the question, are you here? What will you say? You won't say, I'll check up and get back to you tomorrow. No, that very thought is preposterous. You will say, yes, I am here. I am right here. So how do you know? Because I'm self-evident. I know I am. That is all knowledge. I know I am. And then how long do you know you are? Are you here now? 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 Yes, 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 yes. And then how long does this now continue? What is the length of now? If you took a measuring tape and tried to measure now, there is no matra for now. Matra means measurement for now is not there. And so now is timeless, and that timeless is you, and that timeless is Bhagavan. It's that same existence, same consciousness, and same limitlessness. Satchidanandam Brahma And then this Jiva also Satchidananda, Ishvara also Satchidananda. It's just one Satchidananda. This Satchidananda, wearing a cape, a glorious cape of the whole Jagat, and all the stars, galaxies are spinning on and the black holes and are spinning on the borders of this glorious cape. And then Jiva is also wearing a cape. Actually, we should call it an escape. Yeah. And what is this cape? Full lined with fears and tears. A tattered cape, or it can be a cap, dunce cap. Jiva is wearing a dunce cap, Ishvara is wearing a crown, or Jiva is wearing a cloak of ignorance and Ishvara is wearing a shining robe of knowledge. The seamstress is Maya Shakti. Why is she called seamstress? Because she gives everyone stress. That's why, and that is why she is the seamstress. And this Maya Shakti, because of Maya Shakti, you see this difference. And as soon as the Jiva attends a few Vedanta classes, the dunce cap comes off. And there is no more Avarana. And then what? Then you see Ishvara as an extension, as non-separate from yourself. Oh, so Ishvara's crown also comes off? Yes, you can see past the crown. You transcend the crown. But first, for that, the dunce cap has to definitely come off. And, so you're no longer sitting in the corner of the classroom. And then the dunce cap has come off. And then you are able to see this whole, non-separation of everything. So when this happens, then what happens? Then there are three ways in which you know that you have moksha, because people want signs, How do I know I have moksha? People keep asking this. Well, here you go. The Mundaka Upanishad is rather obliging, and she says the following. So she says the first thing is Bhidyate Hridaya Granthihi. There will no longer be tightness of chest. Oh, so that means I'll not have a heart attack. We are not talking of the chest, the physical heart. We are talking of the spiritual heart, metaphoric heart. When you say, I'm heartbroken, that heart we are talking of, that kind of an expression. I have no heart for this, that heart. It's not the physical organ called heart that is occupying the chest cavity. It is the spiritual, metaphoric, version of what is called heart. Okay. So now this heart, there is this ajnanam appears as a granthi. Granthi means a knot. What does this ajnanam consist of? If you were to ask, we would say that ajnanam has, three components. Avidya, ajnanam itself, then that, it's more like a family tree of ajnanam, and so avidya, and avidya is Mataji, the matriarch, and then what? She has a child, and what is this child? What happens because of avidya? All kinds of nonsensical desires for nonsensical things arise in the heart. So, Kama is the son of avidya, and then, what is the grandson? Because of Kama, you can't sit still. It's fine to have Kama, but then Kama makes you restless and go and get the object or start wanting that in a certain way, etc. And so that is what is called karma, action, grandson of avidya. And then what? What is the the next generation? What happens because of karma? Then what happens? Karma phala. Every action without a fail produces results, correct? And so the results, as we know, papa and punya. So avidya, kama and karma. So karma has twins, papa and punya. And then that leads us back to what? Punar janma, rebirth again into more of the same. That's why every newborn baby cries. Why am I here again? Oh no, I've seen this place before. I'm quickly closing my eyes back. Oh no, I can't do anything. Oh no, these people are the parents. They look like caregivers, not caregivers. What is wrong with them? This is what the whole thing is. It starts over and over and over. That is why it's a granthi, because it is very hard to cross. So then, in this avidya, kama, karma, karma phala, punarjanma, where are you going to attack it? You cannot attack punarjanma because you have no say over whether you are going to be born again or not. Unless you're taking the Christian sense of born again, that you can do in this life itself, but we are not talking of that. Okay, so then, so punarjanma, you have no say. Then papa punya, yes, okay, I'll only perform punya karma. I will not perform papa karma. But even in saying that, you may step on some small krimi, some insect, especially now, next month rainy season will come, and then so many small things are creeping, crawling, and even in the daily sweeping marjanam, there's some small things get, spiders, etc. You give them moksha on a regular basis, and so you cannot say I'm going to avoid papa and only do punya. Because how much punya are you going to do? And nobody is, doing that much punya, even though you think, you think you are doing punya. You're not really doing punya. And then what happens? Then so there you cannot attack punarjanma. You cannot attack papa punya. Then okay, so karma phala. So then maybe karma phala, is it in your hands? Say no, so we can move on. Because Bhagavan Krishna has already told us. What has he said? He has said, karmani eva adhikarahate ma phaleshu kadachana. So you cannot have any say over karma phala. And so karma phala is out of your hands. And then what else? What else is not in your hands? You don't have karma phala. You don't have this thing. You don't have papa punya. And then okay, karma. Karma cannot be in your hands. It is in your hands, yes, but if it is driven by desire, it is not in your hands, because desire makes you do things. It creates a vega, pressure. So karma very difficult to manage, and then desire even more difficult to manage. And so therefore we go to the root cause. What is that? Avidya. So therefore, that is the place to attack, because attacking any of these things, you may have a certain say over desire, a little bit of a say over the karma, but the thing is, it is like putting a band-aid on a cavernous, gaping wound, when actually you need to do something else. You need to find out why there is this wound. You need to go to the root cause, not just go to the superficial, trying to manage something or the other here and there. So therefore, avidya, when it is attacked through understanding and in a committed way, it's not, Aya Ram, Gaya Ram, Kabhi Kabhi, once in a while I'll just, Kabhi Kabhi mere dil mein Vedant ka khayal aata hai. It's not enough. Yeah, you cannot do that. Once in a while I think of Vedanta. No, this is a pursuit. Anything you learn, even Bharatanatyam, you can't go one day, you just go tha thai and then want to perform. How is that possible? First of all, you won't be able to you don't even know whether the left hand is moving or the right leg, which is coordinating with what, So for every branch of knowledge, there is a discipline, there are prerequisites, there is a vidhi, there is a nishedha, there are certain injunctions, there are certain things you must not do, and you have to pursue it in a disciplined way. And it's not like I'm only going to attend Global Oneness and after the festival will be over, May 28th, finished. My what is that? My tryst with Vedanta has finished. No. Because you've been exposed to so many teachers. You just pick one Ishta teacher and you then stick to this. Stick to the knowledge. That is the whole idea. Okay. So this is the thing. This is what needs to happen in order to see avara and para as one, and that is what takes care of sorrow, anxiety, and fear, because there is nothing other than you. All the desires are you, and Bhagavan is non-separate from you. Jagat is Bhagavan. Jagat is non-separate from you. It is just absolutely wonderful. And then to live like that, to live this kind of a life. Then chidyante sarva samshayaha. Samshaya means doubt, because this is what is our, the ajnanam's bread and butter is just doubt alone, nothing else. And what is this doubt? Am I there yet? How do I know that I know? And why do I need to study? Why can't I just intuit this knowledge? As though one chin mudra is not enough, I'll make two, and I'll sit like this, and then I will just somehow get this knowledge. How are you going to get this knowledge? Buddha sat under the tree, you know then my question is, are you Buddha? No, I'm not Buddha. Okay, study. That's all. Because we are very fond of quoting exceptions, We're very fond of quoting exceptions. Ramana Maharshi went into the forest, got this knowledge. Buddha sat under the tree. They had all done their work in the last life, okay? That is the difference. There was some shishta prarabdha. They had to take a birth. Some remaining, karma was there. Don't quote exceptions. Exceptions don't cancel the rule. Exceptions only, make the rule even more valid. Every rule has an exception. So don't go with the Buddhas and the Ramana Maharshis, you follow what the Upanishad says. This very Upanishad says, Pariksha lokan karmachitan nirvedamayat nasti akrita kritena gurumeva abhigached. Examine the whole universe and then see the failings of how everything is finite, and please, search for a fitting teacher who will not distort the Upanishads and who will give you this vision just like they got it. Because the Guru comes from a sound lineage. It's very, very, very important. We have to see this. Okay? And so, this is one doubt. Like, why can't I get it like this? Why can't I intuit it? Why can't I get it some other way? Why can't I do lots of pujas? I'll ring the bell and go arati, I'll do all that. Why can't I get it through puja? What will you get? What is puja? Karma. And what do you get through karma? Karma phala. And then what do you get through karma phala? Punarjanma. We've already gone there. Don't make me go there again. Okay? Yeah. So then, so this is not, karma is not jnanam. There is, what is that, there is no way to gain this knowledge through karma. Because the problem is not that you need moksha which is away from you. Moksha is not away from you. Mocha that you get in Starbucks is away from you, yes. But not moksha. Moksha is you. It is your own swarupa with an eclipse of ajnanam. Rahugrastha divakarendu sadrisho maya samachhadanat sanmatrah karanopasamharanato yo bhut sushuptah puman. This is Dakshinamurti Stotram. Rahugrastha divakara indu sadrishaha maya samachhadanat sanmatrah karanopasamharanatah yo bhut yo abhut yaha abhut sushuptah puman. This person sleeping the sleep of ignorance. And what is this ignorance is like? This ignorance is like Rahu and Ketu catching hold of the sun or the moon. The eclipse. The eclipse does not mean that, the sun is not shining. In fact, because the sun is shining, you even see the eclipse. And so the eclipse is a covering, as it were. Achhadanam, and that is ignorance. The ignorance is like a covering that has to be removed through the use of a pramana. All this has to be understood. So in the pramana gata samshaya, prameya gata samshaya, Pramanagata samshaya means samshayas with regard to the pramana. Why do I need somebody to teach me? If it is about myself, why do I have to go to someone else to learn? All these things you have to see that this knowledge has to come from outside, outside of you. Otherwise, you will be in your own way to understand this. You have to have some reverence for the source of knowledge. Otherwise, it will be denied to you. And then, then it will also be in it will not come to you if you don't look for it. It will not come automatically. All these things, because it is a means of knowing. The Shastra is an independent means of knowing called Pramana. Just like you see with your eyes and you back up your eyes, the Ahankara backs up your eyes, and you say, I saw it with my own eyes, I heard it with my own ears, and you back it up. Similarly, you have to back up the Shastra Pramana. I heard it from the Shastra, so that Shastra Pramanaikya Buddhi must be there, that this must be true, because the Shastra is telling me, Guru is telling me, and that for that Pramana Buddhi, I need Shraddha. Shastrasya Guru Vakyasya Satya Buddhi Avadharana. I need that Shraddha to be able to assimilate this knowledge. This is Pramanagata Samshaya. Then Prameyagata Samshaya. What is Brahman? How can I be Brahman? If I am Brahman, how come I am not experiencing it? You are experiencing it. You are experiencing, whatever you experience is Brahman. No, but I want a special Brahman experience. Ayo Rama. That's all I have to say. If you want a special Brahman experience, you will not get it. And even if you get it, it is not a Brahman experience, because experience by nature is finite. There is a time it was not, now it is, now it will not be there. So the experience is not, is not infinite. The content of the experiencer and the content of the experience is that one Brahman which is as though morphing to become the experience, so to speak, and as though morphing into the one who is cognizing the experience. So this Brahman is neither experiencer nor experienced, but yet sustains the truth of the experiencer and the status of the experiencer and the experience. And if Brahman was a special experience, it would become limited. How can you do that? It's not ice cream. Yes, you can have an experience, but no, ice cream is also Brahman anyway. But you cannot have a special Brahman experience. And so this is all Pramanagata Samshaya. This is Prameyagata Samshaya. What is Prameya? What is to be known? And what is the difference between, Brahman and Ishvara? Ishvara is, all this kind of a thing. These doubts, when they go, these doubts will all go in the light of this knowledge. And also there is a kind of catch-22. When the doubts go, the knowledge will be there. When you have this knowledge, there will not be no other doubt. Then finally, Kshiyante cha asya karmani. Asya purushasya, for this person, all the karmas go at one stroke. At one stroke, all the karmas go. 3 forms of karma are talked about. What are they? Sanchita. Sanchita is, like a lot, all the karmas you've ever had. If you have had even one birth as a human being or as a human-like being, anybody with free will, in other words, all the karmas called Sanchita. Sanchita means nicely collected, happily collected, Sanchita. And this Sanchita karma is all over the place, and it is just waiting to fructify into numerous kinds of lives based on various desires. And so all these desires, are what? These various desires are useless. They are just cause for various births. And so this is what we have to be able to see. And we have to see that the desire is the cause of birth. And so all this Sanchita karma is an endless amounts of karma to be keeping on, and it will not, you cannot exhaust karma. Karma kshaya cannot be done. That is not a marga at all, even though it is entertained in one of the, excuse me, in one of the shastras. It is debated and sent out. It is not a way to gain moksha, because you'll keep on exhausting the karma, and the only thing that will be exhausted is you. That's all. You don't get moksha that way. All right. Then, then we have what is called agami karma. Agami karma is whatever you have accrued, in this life, your actions and the results of those actions, and unfortunately or fortunately, they go and join Sanchita. And then they are also the cause of this cycle. And then we have what is called prarabdha karma, the group of karmas that has brought this body, mind, sense complex into being. And so it's like if Sanchita karma is a big ball of atta, aprarabdha karma is a small one chapati. Yes, and then you are pressed into some kind of a shape, and then you are put on the tawa of samsara. This is what is called samsara. Okay, so, and this prarabdha. So Sanchita goes. Why? Because in the gain of this knowledge, because karma is mithya. Mithya means it's a dependent reality. It's a model. Karma is not absolute. You are absolute. Karma is just there, given as a model for the person to follow dharma, so that there is accountability, so that as long as the person feels I am a karta, doer, then then the person feels done in, etc. That karta, bhokta, all these things. So the karma is a model. And so then this karma is gone in the wake, in the one stroke, in the wake of knowledge. All the karmas are gone because the karta is falsified. It's like a dead person's bank account. Who will the money go to? Collected. Or the dead person's debt. Who will pay the debt? There is no, there is no credit, there is no debit. Because the person themselves is not there. Such and such a person with such and such a name is gone. So therefore, it is not there, and it is not there at all. And then we have, so this is something which is very, very important to see, that you when you are awakened to this knowledge, then you are awakened to a reality where these karmas don't apply. Just like in the dream, if three fellows were chasing you, this is the example that's given, an ancient example, and they are almost catching up with you, and they have caught hold of your shirt and you're screaming, and then you thankfully wake up, you get a glass of water, drink the water, and in the dream you were running. When you wake up, do you still continue to run? No, there's no place to run, because that was then, this is now. And that, ajnana nidra suptaha purushaha. So this person who was sleeping the sleep of ignorance and dreaming the dream of ignorance, that people are catching hold of me and everybody is troubling me, there is samsara, I am a karta, I am a bhokta, I am a pramata, all this is gone. It was the nightmare. Now you have woken to the truth, you have awakened to the truth of yourself. No more is this problem. So Sanchita goes, because Sanchita is just kept up by your own kartrutvam and desire. Desire gone, kartrutvam gone, Sanchita gone, agami gone. Why? Agami gone means the person of knowledge is incapable, is naturally following dharma, and is incapable of committing papa. And even if they do some small papa, like aforementioned, some small animal got moksha under their feet or something like that, that the effect of the papa, the shastra says, go to the people who abuse the jnani. And if the jnani does punya, the effect goes to the shishyas of the jnani who have shraddha for this jnani. Because the jnani is not interested in papa punya, so the papa goes to the abusers of the jnani, and the punya goes to the shishyas of the jnani. Okay, so then that is agami gone. Okay, sanchita gone. What is left? Prarabdha. Does jnani have prarabdha or not? Well, Jnani does have prarabdha. Thank God, because one thing we can say, Jnani has prarabdha karma. Why? Because after jnana, the person doesn't say, I see it, parar, navarar, one and the same. Doesn't pop off, correct? Doesn't pop off. Otherwise, we would be in a fix, no gurus, and we would not know who to go to study, because nobody is there who can teach. Nobody is there who can, and already Vedanta is not very popular. Not hardly anybody comes, and then so therefore, on a consistent basis, and so because there are many other things, pranayama, yoga, that are far more popular than Vedanta, but you know to the credit, we can say that if the person knows that I'm going to die as soon as I gain this knowledge, nobody will gain this knowledge. This is why we can, on the one hand, we see the jnani continuing in the same body mind sense complex. So people say prarabdha continues, but actually, from the from the standpoint of the jnani doesn't have any prarabdha at all, because the body there is no identification with the body. Body does something, body eats, body drinks, body sleeps, body gets down the stairs, body goes here, goes there, body gets into a flight, body comes, and then body dies. you know so it is not, the person's identity is not in the body, and so therefore we say that the jnani doesn't have prarabdha karma. Otherwise we would not be saying kshiyante cha asya karmani. Karmani is plural, it should be more than two. So therefore jnani doesn't have prarabdha karma. That is really the correct thing to say, because from the standpoint of the ajnanis who are looking at the body of the jnani, you can say there is prarabdha karma, but from the standpoint of the jnani's own identification, there is no prarabdha karma at all. Kshiyante cha asya karmani. And so this is how one knows when there is moksha. There is very little body identification, almost zero body identification, almost zero mind identification, almost zero senses identification, and then no doubts, no vagueness, no error with regard to the knowledge, and then a certainty of vision that I am non-separate from Ishvara. This is the blessings of this knowledge. The more one studies, it is more like it's not one aha moment. It is more like a growing clarity. Because when the eclipse comes, and it recedes, it takes 2-3 hours, to recede. So it's just like that. So, but when will it recede for me, if you ask? I can only say what Lord Krishna said. Na chirena adhigachati. So, not too long hence, the ajnanam will go. If you have a prayerful attitude, and if you take to this knowledge with that shraddha, it will definitely go. It will not have a leg to stand on. Okay. Thank you. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.
Thank you so much, Swamiji, for unfolding this verse so eloquently, engagingly, and very, very effectively. Last I checked, I did not see any questions in the chat box. There were a lot of comments about wanting to know where Swamiji can be reached. And I typed in arshavm.org. If Swamiji wants to say anything about that.
Yeah, I've also typed the livestream.com, that you can look at that. All the talks are archived there.
Yes.
Thank you, Kavita. Thank you for all the organizers. Yeah. Any other questions?
Om Swamiji. Thank you.
All the best.
Thank you.